you can get to a place where like you've won a lot of customers, but you built a product that nobody really wants to hang together. That it didn't matter the strategy, it didn't matter the opportunity. If you couldn't hire the talent you needed to, you're dead. I've seen customers have showed me here on this very trade show floor screenshots of deepfakes of people showing up as someone else in an interview. And so these things are happening to customers.
I cannot tell you the number of times that I've heard clients say they don't know what their attrition is. They don't know what their time to fill is.
Being right and wrong doesn't always matter in court as much as it does like what are the risks, what are the costs, what are the time involved.
Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt. I'm your host for Inside the C-Suite, where execs get real about leadership, impact, and what truly drives high-stake decisions. I'm honored to have on the show today Daniel Chait.
Close.
Oh,
Good enough. Chait.
Daniel Chait. Got it. CEO of Greenhouse, and Greenhouse is a monster. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. So I know Greenhouse has a booth. You guys show up and show out every year. You have a great marketing team. So tell us a little bit about you and Greenhouse and what makes you guys better than anybody else.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's exciting, and thanks for the kind words. So I'm Daniel Chait, co-founder and CEO at Greenhouse. Little about me, I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole career. So I grew up in Michigan. I went to U of M, go Blue for those of us out there, and started my career as a programmer. But I never lasted more than 9 months in a job. And after leaving a job as a programmer in 1997, I started a business, and I've been an entrepreneur ever since. And so in the early part of my career, I was building software companies, and I really learned that for me to get what I wanted to get done, I had to be great at hiring. That it didn't matter the strategy, it didn't matter the opportunity. If you couldn't hire the talent you needed to, you're dead. And if you could, the sky's the limit. And so I kind of found my way into hiring as an entrepreneur and thinking about it through a kind of engineering lens of like, how do I optimize this process to get where I'm trying to get to? I never thought of recruiting as a paperwork, administrative, kind of like that people say. And so when we started Greenhouse in 2012, we had this vision that every company can be great at hiring, but they have to work differently in order to do that. And so that's really what we're all about at Greenhouse is our mission to help every company in the world become great at hiring.
So that's beautiful that you caught, because I have been a recruiter or in the recruitment industry, talent industry for 20 years. So when you said that you're a programmer, you never lasted more than 9 months.
You know, I was very ambitious.
Okay.
And I think, to be honest, I found a bit of a values mismatch in the workforce. So I made my way to New York. I got a job at this giant corporation. I thought I was like, this is it. I made it. They were a massive company with like a big marble lobby right on Wall Street. And I'm looking up at this thing being like, I never thought I could get here. This is incredible. And you get up the elevator, and it is like a sea of beige cubicles as far as the eye can see. And I remember being all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I wanted to have all this impact.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the boss just wanted you to sit down and shut up and build a customer. And I just couldn't do that. And so I kept butting up against that system. And then the first chance I had, which I was very fortunate to start a company, I just thought, oh, here I can, live and die by my own effort. I can work hard. I can be mission driven. I can try to deliver for customers. Like that's what's exciting to me. And so I took the leap the first chance I could get, and bumped up, learned a lot of lessons along the way. I'm sure we'll talk about some of that too. But ultimately really found that, where I'm best is when I'm challenged to try to do a lot with what I have and to try to have a lot of impact.
You are clearly a motivated and curious leader.
I mean, I like to say being a startup founder is like the easiest job in the world to get, but a really hard job to keep. And so, yeah, I mean, that was what I was motivated to do. But if you're going to be, this is our 14th year of Greenhouse, you have to try really hard. So.
Well, I think you're delusional enough to believe, right, until it happens, which is a beautiful thing to see. And it's so great to see that you guys have such good tenure and you have really great clients. Like, who are some of your, I'm not going to ask you your favorites. That's like asking who's your favorite
All my
child.
clients are my favorite clients.
I tell my boys, I have 2 boys, and they'll say, Mom, who's your favorite? And I'll say, whoever I'm talking to at the moment.
I mean, we have amazing clients. I mean, to me, like people get really impressed with kind of big brand names and like big companies that maybe they've heard of. So Airbnb, is always a longtime customer of Greenhouse. And a lot of people have stayed in Airbnbs and they have a very positive impression of the brand. But we have customers that you maybe have never heard of. They're not like consumer brands. But I always think about like, what are the interesting things that they're doing and hiring? And you look at, oh, I mean, I was on site at a customer in LA. I'm not able to say the name, but like we went through their hiring dashboard and I was like, they're smarter about hiring metrics than any company I've ever seen. We learn a lot from our customers. So the thing I always think about is like, I draw a little 2 by 2 of how ambitious or challenging is that customer, and then how collaborative are they. And for me, the best customers are always in the upper right of that. They're like really ambitious. They want a lot from you. What you've done is never enough. They always want more, but they're super collaborative about it. They're not angry. They're not mad. They don't just like dismiss you that, oh, you haven't done, but like they help pull you in that right direction. Like that's where I love to be. And so I'm really happy when we have customers.
I am so glad to hear you say that just as a leader because our clients are the indicators of what's next. And they do oftentimes have a different perception. They're doing things differently that is enlightening ever
Totally.
how we can meet the need. And I love collaborative clients that go, "Hi, this would be really cool. What about that?" Yeah, that would be really
Can
cool.
we help
Let's
get
go
there?
build it.
I mean, look, we're sitting here at HR Tech. There's about 97 million square feet of vendors
Yes.
represented here.
Yes.
And so I wake up every day acutely aware of the fact that my customers have to choose to stay with Greenhouse, and they get the choice every single day whether or not they're going to renew and stay and join. And so, on one hand, that's a lot of pressure. But on the other hand, it really does keep you honest and helps you, focus on you better make sure that you're doing what those customers need and you're delivering a lot of value. And I think that's its own art and science because I mean we talked about like you really got to listen to customers, you learn from them. We don't have all the answers, we don't even have all the questions. And at the same time is I think there's a trap sometimes of just listening to customers or just listening to your sales team. And if every time the sales team hears something that a prospect wants, if we just did that one thing, we'd win the deal, and they run over to the product team and they build it, and you do that over and over again, you can get to a place where like you've won a lot of customers, but you built a product that nobody really wants to hang together. And so there's all this challenge of like, how do you navigate what the market is asking for with what your vision is, with what competitors are doing, with what, and so you gotta, navigating that balance is
That you said that so beautifully because it is exactly what it is. You've got to have your salespeople understanding what the product is, what's coming out, what's now, what's urgent, what's next,
yeah. And
right?
so
And what's
yeah,
applicable to everybody versus a one-off.
you got it. And so I know you asked a question about 45 minutes ago that I'll answer now, which was, so what do you think you're best at? And I would say, all the things that, some people might say it's like our HR Tech booth, which I think is beautiful. But I think the truth is it's that. It's this idea that, Greenhouse, we have a clear vision of where we're going, where hiring is going, where things need to go. And if we just did that and didn't listen to customers, we'd end up in some weird ivory tower that nobody would buy or use. On the other hand, if you just listen to, what your sales team is telling you, you'll be responsive and win a bunch of deals, but you'll end up kind of down a dead end or you don't have a product that really holds together. I think what we're doing better than anyone is staying true to our mission, understanding the long-term vision of where we're going, and yet really balancing that with like, what is the market saying and what do the customers need right now? And you have to earn the right to get to that next stage and do the next part of your vision.
Well, I mean, you obviously have earned the right. You've been around for a little
So
bit.
far.
So, what's up and coming, or what have you guys rolled out recently? Because just based on what you told me, and even if I didn't chatbot GPT or Google you, um, I know that you have some really cool stuff,
Yeah.
innovation coming up.
Isn't that amazing that the way we find out information's changed so quickly? And it's all Google was like the word for looking stuff up.
Now there's more. What is it? It's like 2 to 3 million less searches on Google every year.
It's unbelievable how fast that's changed. So that's like a little bit of a sidetrack, but you keep saying interesting things. We're here with a bunch of announcements at HR Tech. As always, our product team is not resting on their laurels. They're working really hard. So we are landing an all new Greenhouse Analytics package. This is a ground up rewrite. So if you've looked at Greenhouse reporting in the past, you don't know what Greenhouse Analytics is capable of until you've seen what we got coming out. It is the ability to interrogate every last corner of your data, of your hiring data. It is the ability to slice and dice and package exactly how you want, with really fine-grained controls. It is the ability to do visualizations and collaboration on data, sharing that around your organization in ways that, the boss likes to see pictures, the data team wants the numbers, other people want to see it on a dashboard when they log in, like all of that stuff. is landing at Greenhouse Analytics. Customers are super excited about it. We've got lots of folks having looked at it in the beta, and I can't wait for that to be in
Feels
all
like
our.
it feels like that's a baked in reporting analyst that no one has to pay for.
Well, it comes with Greenhouse, is what I like to say.
Well, I mean,
Yes, it's a tremendous
yes, they
value.
all have to come for it.
It's a
Yes,
tremendous
it's a
value.
value, guys.
But
You have
look,
to pay for it.
I think, we've always said that if you're going to be great at hiring, which is our mission,
Mhm.
it doesn't make you great at hiring. You got, well, what does that really mean? And we've talked about 4 disciplines it takes as a company to be great at hiring. And one of them is data and operations. If you don't have a robust ability to understand what's happening in your hiring pipeline, to use data to optimizing it better, you're just not going to succeed because recruiting is competitive, recruiting is dynamic, where the candidates are, what your competitors are doing to hire them is changing, what people want, what techniques are going to work, all of that. And so if you don't have the ability to use data, you're going to sink. And so that's been a core of our approach since the beginning.
I personally love hearing that. So being that I've been in talent and I come up from Korn Ferry and IBM and all the different places, but I cannot tell you the number of times that I've heard clients say they don't know what their attrition is. They don't know what their time to fill is. They don't know how many people to get to a slate. They don't have any of this information. And so that makes it really hard for them to identify the gaps so they know how to go after it.
That's
So
right.
this is changing the game and helping talent HR leaders really
Tell the
be a
story.
partner
You got it.
because that's the disconnect with upper leadership is and I think that HR and TA get pigeonholed as I don't know, admins in some cases, actually, instead of thought leaders, is it's actually enabling them to be a thought leader and bring it to the U's and the C-suites and say, "This is what I'm seeing. Here's my" like, you're giving them a seat at the table.
You got it. Look, data is the language of business, right? And we see this all the time where um, the recruiters know what's happening. They're
Mhm.
in it every day. And so they're thinking like, oh my gosh, we have to change the way that this interview process is happening. We have to do different intake meetings. We've got a challenge in this part of the funnel. But if they can't show that with data,
Mhm.
it doesn't go anywhere. And then their hiring manager is left going like, I think my recruiting team is bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because what else are they gonna think? And so I think it really puts you on the back foot as a recruiting team, and you just got this hiring manager, you talk to a VP of engineering or a head of sales, or like, "Where's my team? Why haven't you hired my person yet?" It's like, well, actually, we've got some data that shows that, you're taking 4 days to return your interview feedback, or, 40% of the time, the hiring manager is ghosting the candidates, leading to a higher drop-off rate, or whatever those things are. It's like, it's not about blame, but it's like, if we can locate the problem, then we can address it. And I think without that data, you're just kind of lost at sea.
Yeah. So outside of the reporting, are there any other
Yeah,
innovations?
so that's a big one. We announced in earlier in the year that we're launching Real Talent, which is combating fraud, combating spam, and misrepresentation in the hiring process. Our customers are telling us they're just overwhelmed. It used to be that customers wanted access to candidates and they'll do anything to get it. How do I get that last email out to that candidate, get some attention, send them my way? And now that has totally changed where like people are overwhelmed with their pipelines. And amidst all the true applicants, you've got AI making it harder to tell who's real and who isn't.
Yep.
You've got people's resumes looking more and more alike. And so you can't even tell the difference between them because everyone's using ChatGPT or AI tools to, analyze the job description, update my resume accordingly and send it in. Then you've got the true kind of like there are these like rogue state actors that are kind of infiltrating remote IT workers with true misrepresentation. I've seen customers have showed me here on this very trade show floor screenshots of deep fakes of people showing up as someone else in an interview. And so these things are happening to customers. And so Real Talent is a way for us to comprehensively through fraud analytics, look at different signals of like where the person applied from, what device are they on, as well as challenge them to really identify themselves, prove biometrically that you are who you say you are, which can sound like a bit of a gate, but the truth is when we talk to job seekers, they are desperate to do this. Job seekers hate the state of the market today. It's not working for them at all. And if you tell them, hey, in 30 seconds you can take a selfie and prove to the employer that you are who you say you are, clear away all the noise and help stand out, like people think that's a great way to solve some of these
Well,
problems.
and there's been so many. I mean, we've seen lawsuits over the years where people were hired on different IDs and they were actually minors and like all the things that come with that. And you've got fraud. It's about what the average US citizen gets 7 points of fraud a day.
A lot. Okay.
And so when you think about
Yep.
that and you think about the candidates and what they're getting, and so I haven't been on the hourly market, nor have I had my resume out there for
Yep.
years and
Yep.
years and
Yep.
years and years. So tell me why I get text messages
All the
from
time.
people saying that they're XYZ. Some of these are out on the floor and I know it's
Yep.
not them.
Yep.
And it's from a WhatsApp number and my background looks great for this hourly role, make you $20 an hour. I'm like,
That's right.
what?
I get those as well. So to anyone out there emailing me or texting me, I'm not looking to
I'm not looking
staff
for $20
I'm
an
not
hour.
looking to staff your call center, no offense, but those things are happening and they're happening on both sides. And so really trying to tackle that issue and not just the misrepresent, not just the like harmful misrepresentation like
Right.
that, but also just the very natural and very understandable reaction that job seekers are having. Because I got a lot of empathy. If you're out in the job market right
Yes.
now,
Yes.
it's hard. And so they are very understandably reacting by using their own tools. And they're like, hey, I got ChatGPT. I could use any number of candidate application automating tools to help me scour the internet in real time for all the jobs that I might want to look at, customize my resume and cover letter based on the job description, and send it in automatically while I'm sleeping. So I wake up in the morning and I've sent out 200 or 300 job applications. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time I was in the job market, I had to go to Kinko's and print resumes on paper. It was like, do you want the ivory or do you want the cream? And
The good
you had to
paper.
buy a stamp and like, so it was hard. It took time and took money. And so I applied to like, I don't know, 10 jobs or like 12 jobs or whatever. But now you can push a button and basically blast it out to like 1,000 companies. So the amount of job seeking activity is going way, way up, but the amount of signal, the amount of actual information in those is going way, way down. And so it's also about helping job seekers stand out among all that noise and helping employers find out who amongst all that, forget all the bad behavior and all the fraud, just like who should I actually be spending time with that's actually relevant to this job I'm trying to fill. So that's all about what real talent is. Kind of working with that, the third big announcement we have is by Greenhouse, which is our candidate portal. And so our customers have enabled My Greenhouse as the front end application for on their careers page for
Right.
a job seeker to come in and they can do things like they can quick apply, not have to retype all their information every time they apply to a job. Um, they can subscribe to job alerts. So if they're in the market and they don't see the exact job that they want or they haven't gotten it yet, they say, "Oh, interested in jobs like this," and they can get alerts when those jobs open up. They can um, one of the most exciting pieces of it is they can designate one job a month as their dream job.
Oh,
And what the dream job is, yeah, it's kind of like early apply to college. It's like you're saying this one's special. Yeah, I may be automatically applying to 100 jobs, but this is the one I want the most and the one I think I'm the best able to get. And that is a really useful signal to the employer. So in Greenhouse, when you're opening up a job and you're looking through your pipeline, you now see a prioritized inbox of like people who've been referred by your employees, and you also see people who designate it's a dream job. And those applicants are converting at like a 4 times higher rate than other applicants. So it's a really meaningful signal. And it's just a way to like cut through the AI doom loop and get the humans back in the process of how you can express who you are and what you want in like a very human way. So I'm excited about Dream Job. We have hundreds of people have gotten their dream job already on the platform and we just launched it. So it's really neat.
I hope marketing's having a field day with
It's
Dream
really
Job.
fun.
It
It's
would be
really fun.
fun. Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I'm curious, with all of the tech out there and all of the AI, we know that it's out there.
How long has it been? We just said AI.
I know, like AI. But, is there a difference with the vendors out there that are focusing only on frontline and kind of how quick they're getting people through? Is there a component? Because when I look at Greenhouse,
Yeah.
I think of salary,
Yeah.
but it's for
Yeah.
everybody.
I think that reflects a mindset that is changing. And I think, yeah, like in the olden days, again, like when I was, you think about, a few years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there were like these two very different worlds.
Yes.
And for a while, they were actually diverging. They were getting further apart because you had this thing where if you're a programmer, the last thing in the world I want to do is put you in front of a bot. Like I'm going to flood you with attention and love. And if I'm hiring for a 7-Eleven, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to text you, and you're going to show up on Monday. Um, and I think those worlds are actually converging. So there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of interest in the market these days because there's been some like big acquisitions and deals
Yep.
announced, like high volume hiring. But I think the reality is those things are becoming more similar
Yes.
over time because everyone's interacting with a chatbot. Everyone's, you know, talking to AI and everybody's moving quickly. And so I think the worlds of like what we used to call like high volume or frontline worker hiring and the worlds of like what we used to call like people say white collar or office worker or like high value hiring, those are converging more and more. And I think we're going to start to see that they're really not so different at all. And so you talk about Greenhouse, we have customers today and have had for a long time who hire, if you're an e-commerce company you've got what looks like a tech business, right? You've got like online marketers and finance and product and salespeople, and then you've got what looks like a manufacturing business on the back end.
Right.
You're putting stuff in boxes, you're driving stuff around, and so we've always had customers that are hiring both of those. I need to fill up a warehouse or hire a bunch of restaurant workers and a kind of more traditional office environment. And so the differences to those, I think, are getting less and less.
It's nice to hear you say that because I know, and I've been in the business for a long time, but you see like the hourly specific ones, which I think are great for that. And then you've got you kind of your traditional ones
Yeah,
like yours that you would automatically think professional hiring. But I know there's a world, and I know that HR and TA are going to want one system.
that's right.
And so it's like, how do you serve both
Yeah,
masters?
and I think they're just it's just all kind of a continuity. It's like, well, if you're hiring, so we talked about two ends of the spectrum just now, but there's
Right.
actually like if you're hiring like, a C-level executive, there's even a further level of like really high touch,
Yeah.
and a lot of money you're going to spend in that one process. And then there's these like middle jobs too, where it's like if you're hiring a BDR, if you're hiring, other entry level kind of intern or office worker, you might be somewhere in the middle where you might want them to talk to an AI for the first step or two, and then maybe come on in and meet someone in the office for an hour. So I think people are finding that there's just really every job is going to sit somewhere on that spectrum, and how much automation, how much personalization is really down to who you're hiring, and how when is it worth it to sort of spend time one to one with that person. It's not like two different worlds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all humans, and we're trying to get them hired, and they're trying to get hired.
At the end of the day, it's like you're either hiring
Well,
someone or you're not, right?
that's true. So tell me really quickly, because I mean, you have a monster of a ship that you've been sailing, and I am sure that that has come with some bruised knees and bumped elbows. What's a time
Yeah.
that you felt that was really pivotal for you?
How long do we have? I mean, yeah, to your point, you don't get to do what I get to do. I'm very lucky to be able to do it without making some mistakes along the way. Just because we were talking about, I'll go all the way back to the beginning. My first business that I started back in the late '90s, and so I was young and full of energy. We talked a little bit about the positive of that,
Yeah.
but also I think when you're young, you probably like a little bit more, a little bit less understanding of how the world really works. And there was a time when we were involved in a lawsuit, a legal dispute over some intellectual property, and we knew we were right. We'd been accused of basically like copying someone's code, and we were like, no, here's the code, we wrote it. It's in a different programming language. It's had nothing to do with yours. Like we knew we were right, and so what we chose to do with that information was like, we're gonna fight this thing, and we hired a lawyer. And we went to court and we did all this stuff, and it took months and months and months and a huge amount of money. And in the end, we won, and it didn't matter. It was a disaster. It cost us hugely. And, I think the lesson I learned out of that was, it's fine if you're right. It's good to be right. But sometimes you have to think about what are the costs of, especially when you get involved in the legal system.
Yeah.
Like you got to be really careful, because being right and wrong doesn't always matter in court as much as it does. Like, what are the risks? What are the costs? What are the time involved? And I think, I look back on the months and months that we spent on that, and the tens of thousands of dollars we spent on that, how much more productively that could have been if we just moved past the issue and found another way. And so
Well, and the energy and
it's just psychic
absolutely.
energy, all of it.
Yes.
And so I think, that shows up in a bunch of different ways when, we have 500 partners at Greenhouse. We have, 7,500, 8,000 customers. And there's always issues that come up. And I think now when I look back, 25 years ago, I probably would have been like, no, here's what it says in the contract. You must do this. And now it's like, you know what? You got a business to run. I got a business to run. Let's figure out if there's a way to do this and like, move forward with our lives. And I think just having that level of flexibility and perspective, I learned it the hard way, but I'm glad I learned it.
And thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable because you're not in an ivory tower. You
Nope.
are a human, and everybody, I mean, we can learn from each other. It's a
Oh,
beautiful thing. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'm honored that you came to join me live at HR Tech. You had lots of options, so thank you for coming by.
absolutely.
Is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
Well, I mean, you can always come to our booth if you're here in person. If you're watching us on the internet, www.greenhouse.com has tons of information about all our products, lots of content that you can look and learn. So I encourage you to join us there.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you for joining us on Work Defined on Inside the C-Suite. Please like and follow, and go check out Greenhouse. Bye.
Thanks.